Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. You're watching AMS Live, my name is Boy. It is Sunday, September 24th, 2023. And we are here at Polderbaan once again for a morning and early afternoon of arrivals. At the moment, the Polderbaan is the only runway used for arrivals. We have wind blowing from the south, as you can see in the ticker. 9 knots from 170 degrees. Visibility is not 10 kilometers or more, but 9 kilometers. NSC means no significant clouds. The current air temperature is 11 degrees Celsius. The dew point is 10 degrees Celsius. The QNH, the air pressure is 1023 hectopascals, and no SIG means no significant changes in the weather are expected in the upcoming 2 hours. We've had a week of dreadful weather, a lot of rain. On one day it was showery all day, on the other it was just raining throughout the day. But as of today, we are expected to have a week of better weather. And since we have officially gone into autumn yesterday, it would probably classify as an Indian summer. Good morning to all viewers who have already tuned in. Valentijn, goedemorgen. JD, good morning. MidKS, good morning. Tom, goedemorgen. Dutch flags all over. Wendy, goedemorgen. Hey there, Bible Nestum, a new subscriber. Well, thank you for subscribing and welcome to the show. Paul, goedemorgen. Marco, goedemorgen. Temp account, good morning, goedemorgen. Hey Koen, goedemorgen. Remco, goedemorgen. Sander, goedemorgen. Indeed, it's been a while. Leo, goedemorgen. Edward, goedemorgen. Jan Kees, goedemorgen. Erwin, goedemorgen. So we have a nice show ahead of us. The plan is, as usual, to stick around until the Emirates A380 has landed. It is early today, expected around 1 p.m. local time. We have the Surinam Airways A340 inbound. We have the PHBVA, the Orange Pride 777 coming in around, I believe, around 12 o'clock. We also have, I believe, 2 747s that will arrive before the Emirates A380. But I'm most excited about the Emirates. It is ahead of schedule, expected to land around 1 o'clock. So that means it might be early enough to land on Polderbaan. Hopefully it will have a bit of tailwind underway and get here a little bit sooner even, which will only increase the likelihood of it landing on the Polderbaan. Right, let's go to the camera and see what is cooking. Jet Music Travel Channel, goedemorgen. Michael Nobis, good morning. Kevin Taylor, good morning. Ronald, goedemorgen. Darth Cloud. Jen Dobry, I probably totally fucked that up. Apologies. Mario, guten Morgen. Johan, goedemorgen. Right, let's have a look. Landed just now, A320neo, and we got a couple of heavies up next. We have 2 heavies in view. The first one being Turkish Airlines Flight 1951 Airbus A330-300 arriving from Istanbul. It is underway now for 2 hours and 53 minutes. The airplane is 9 years old. Its first flight was in January 2014. And we have a Dreamliner 10 behind it. Boeing 787-10, KLM Flight 872, arriving from Delhi in India. So the wind is more or less headwind, not a lot of crabbing today. Just a calm breeze. Although, as you can see in the background, the windmills are spinning a little. Right, is that the last airplane for now? Oh no, there is a CRJ somewhere behind it. Can we see it already? Oh yeah, just ever so slightly exactly left of the Dreamliner. And no Bible Nestum, I haven't seen any people with tents so far, but I will keep my eyes open for them. Hey Tristan, goedemorgen. Ah, Mitkees is actually very well pronounced. Well, lucky guess I suppose. Jelina, goedemorgen, good morning. Hadi Valentijn, goedemorgen. This is KLM Flight 872, Boeing 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from Delhi. Clicked on the airplane too late, so I don't see the flight time anymore. But it is probably 8 hours or a bit more. In the house, in the pocket. Not a record breaker, but something to break the ice. Now the firefighters already did their round. They passed me by as I was setting up. And it looks like they have already returned to the station. You could also hear some explosives being set off and perhaps also the sound of a bird. That would be Russell. And the person supposed to be controlling him in the distance. And Bible Nestum asks how old I am. Well, last month I turned 41, so my name is Boy. That is my first name, so that is why people are calling me Boy. But the days of actually being a boy, at least on the outside, have long passed by. Right, let's turn the camera to the north. We have an SAS CRJ incoming. Also something behind it, let me have a look. That would be a 737-800. Up next, SAS flight 1553, arriving from Stockholm, CRJ 900, long range. Underway now for 1 hour and 40 minutes. A 5-year-old airplane. Had its first flight in February 2018. Hey Martijn, goedemorgen. Hope everybody is doing alright. Some of you may have been up already for a few hours watching Formula 1. Heard it on the radio this morning when the race was still busy from Japan. So always a race for which you have to get up early if you live in Europe. Scandinavian buttshot coming in, taking the first exit. We're standing in line with the first exit of this runway, in case you guys didn't know. So any airplane taking this exit, we will see directly from behind, as with this airplane right now. Hey Harme, goedemorgen. YouTube fan, goedemorgen. Hey there Barbs, good morning. Debbie, good morning. Hope all is well there in Wales. Hope you guys are having decent weather as well. we had a lot of depressions passing over our part of Europe over the last week. Then again, that's good for the backyard. No need to water the plants. This is Sun Express, flight 1728, arriving from Adana, which has taken this airplane nearly 4 hours to get from. Now departures are taking place from the Kagbaan, runway 24, and also from 18 left. So you might occasionally hear an airplane that is passing over. We had something flying over just now. Although, where do I need to point the camera? I think over there. Yeah, there it is. Departing to the north. Now over here in the water, all is quiet for the time being. With the exception of Russell. I haven't seen any other birds. Russell initially was sitting on one of the lanterns. Over here in the water, all is quiet still. Also the little peninsula and the stone slab are devoid of birds at the moment, but that doesn't mean they're not there. It is Sunday after all, they might sleep in. Ebe, goedemorgen. Mrs. Professor, good morning. Ricardo, goedemorgen. Harme, goedemorgen. Richard, goedemorgen. Steve 88, good morning. M. Abroni, goedemorgen. AM van der Linden, goedemorgen. Blackburst, good morning. Tom, goedemorgen. Bisnovat, good morning. Hey there Tina, good morning. Happy Sunday to you too. Mabube, good morning. Good to see you again. EasyJet A319 has arrived from London Luton, and up next is going to be an American Airlines Dreamliner. Arriving from Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, flight 220. Hey there Maxine, goedemorgen. GCL Streams, good morning. Somebody mowed the lawn, indeed they did. Now, 2 airplanes visible. American Airlines, and behind it is Air Canada Flight 808 arriving from Toronto at 777. Hey Peter, goedemorgen. Jinshin, aloha. Good to see you all again. Hope everybody is doing all right. This is American Airlines flight 220. A 7878 Dreamliner arriving from Dallas. Flight time 8 hours and 25 minutes right now. The airplane is 7 years old. Its first flight was in January of the year 2016. outside, you can also see that there is still some humidity on the tarmac and also on the grass probably. As I was saying before, we have had rain all week, including yesterday. Hey Marissa, goedemorgen. And JD, celebrating a month of membership. Thank you for your support, my friend. And I'm also happy to be streaming again. Got a little bit of the jitters, but it's all good again. Good to be here again. Good to see you all again. Hey there Adam, good morning. Green Tea God, goedemorgen. Tim, goedemorgen. Giggles Constantine. Nice name. Good morning. DJ Digital Media, goedemorgen, good morning. Right, this is Air Canada Flight 808 arriving from Toronto, Canada. It is a Boeing 777-300ER, 15 years old, first flight April 2008. Alrighty, next up is going to be an A320neo from EasyJet, arriving from London Stansted. Hey, and Russell seems to have relocated. Now sitting over here. Oh, it's the same as with the Grebes. As soon as they notice you point the camera to them. And he's flying past me. I think he's a bit cross. This is EasyJet flight 27840, arriving from London Luton. Short flight, 38 minutes. The airplane itself, brand new, meaning less than a year old. Its first flight was in December 2022. Bible Nestum asks, any A380 expected or 747? Well, in fact, we are expecting the Emirates A380 around 1 p.m. My plan is to stick around until it has landed. And before the A380 will land, we are expecting 2 747s, at least that I could see before going live, that were airborne already and underway to Amsterdam. That is excluding any additional 747s that might take off from nearby destinations while I'm streaming already, which also sometimes happens. But at least 2 were already airborne. There were several airborne, but most of them arriving later in the day. Also expected in the quad engine department is Surinam Airways flight 994. The A340-300 that is coming back from Paramaribo in Surinam. I believe it was expected around 11:30 or so, but that I am not sure of. All right. We have, oh, that is, there we go. The KLM flight 592. Doing a little short circuit round. Flying to the glide slope, gear down already. Arriving from Johannesburg, South Africa. Underway for 10 hours and 37 minutes, a 777-300ER. 7 years old, first flight was in February 2016. Good morning, Austrian wolves. Wolf, sorry, single, not plural. Danny, goedemorgen. Good morning. Frits, goedemorgen. Hey, Big Al. Big words from Big Al. The legend is back, he says. Those are your words, mate. Good to see you again. Hope all is well with Big Al. Huh. You would be thinking it is crabbing a little bit, but the meter says wind is coming from 170, so has the wind changed a little bit? Might be. Or are they experiencing asymmetric thrust? Nah, probably not. That's probably too far-fetched. Peter K, good morning. Hope all is well in your part of Europe. Right. Now, looking up, not much to see. There is one contrail in the vicinity of the sun, further east, flying from north to south. Closer by in the sky, I'm not seeing anything. The big picture, this is looking to the east. You can see a few high cirrus clouds further up. This is looking to the south. Looking to the west, you can also see cirrus clouds above the sea. And back north, I think is most of the high clouds. They do all seem to be higher up, not interfering with visibility on the lower levels in the sky. Alright, the next airplane to arrive, A319 EasyJet, arriving from Birmingham. Meanwhile, you might hear an E2 Embraer 195 flying directly, almost directly over me, going to Gdansk in Poland. Further north is a KLM Dreamliner arriving from Austin. Just a little bit left, and well, you can see it. If you look at the first airplane, you can see the second airplane left of it. FFC Festa, good morning. I don't know if the KLM pilots are training wheelies in the flight simulator. Probably not something that they practice actively on, I imagine, because what good do they do other than showboating. If you have functioning reversers, if you have functioning spoilers, then there's no need to do air braking with a wheelie. If anything, the longer your nose gear is off the ground, the less control you have if the airplane should veer off or anything. So I don't think that wheelies is something that pilots actively practice, neither at KLM nor at any other airliner, but if there's anybody who can say that with certainty, please chime in. And that is the disadvantage of having two airplanes in the same part of the sky. Pressing on the label on flight radar, you press on the wrong one. There we have it. This is KLM flight 668, Boeing 7879 Dreamliner, arriving from Austin, Texas. Has been flying now for 8 hours and 52 minutes. The airplane is 7 years old. Its first flight was in March 2016. There should be another airplane behind it. Can we see it already? Probably still further out on Embraer 175. Can you guys see it? Oh yeah. Oh, the next two airplanes. Really need to look on my laptop screen more often because you guys are seeing way more than I am on my 3-inch camera screen. The next two airplanes were already visible. And a good morning to you too, Catherine. I thank you for your ongoing support, celebrating 3 months of AMS Live membership. I do see that after the update of my software, the font has gotten a little smaller. Let me see. Well, can I fix that? Probably I can. Show. And then probably this is increasing font size, or no. We'll do that later then. Thank you for your ongoing support there, Catherine, and good morning to you too. And good morning to you, Anthony. Checking in from Missouri. So that is a 7-hour time difference? Or is that 8? Anyway, still in the middle of the night in Missouri, I think. Where is that little... It is already close by, but it is still... Oh wait, kidding. Yes, they're small, but not that small. KLM flight 1352, Embraer 175 arriving from Prague in the Czech Republic. 5-year-old airplane, first flight April 2018. And off to the first exit. Good morning, Mirza, tuning in all the way from Pakistan. Good to see you again, hope all is well. James, good morning. Anto, salut. Hopefully you have a sunny morning in La France as well. And that's UTC -5, Anthony says, so someone is night owling. And good day to you too, Arjun, who is tuning in from New Delhi. Love the content, keeps rising. Thank you for the kind words. I will do my best to do just that. Welcome and glad you're enjoying, hope everybody is. Next up, another A319 arriving from London, this time London Gatwick. EasyJet flight 23674, it's like reciting a phone number. 15-year-old airplane, first flight February 2008. And Russell gave me a heads up that he was sitting on the lantern again. Yeah, I heard you, buddy. Good morning, Anonymous, and good morning to Tim. And James asks about the long-range jets. They typically arrive a little later in the morning. We should be seeing another landing peak, I think around 11 or so. Not exactly sure. It goes in waves. Now there's also a bit of waviness over here in the water. Wind blowing from the south. As visualized by the chimneys, the smoke is blowing away. The water is still quiet, looking around. The fields are too. Russell, okay, now sitting in the grass. The fields next to me are empty. Behind it, I think, is rapeseed flowering. Maybe they produce some rapeseed oil from it. And next up is TUI flight 511, arriving from Cancun in Mexico. Boeing 7878, Belgian registered, flight time 8 hours 53 minutes. And there is another airplane approaching the glide slope from the left. Behind it, another Dreamliner 7879, the bigger brother of the airplane in the foreground, from KLM, arriving from Toronto. And passing over is a 737-800 that is going to Helsinki, Finland. Passing nearly directly over me. Now people my age and older who are from the Netherlands will probably remember the zangeres zonder naam who also had a song about Mexico, but I will not try to recite that as I have no ability to reach the high pitch that she could sing at. Campero, good morning. And Richard is asking which of the two airplanes is bigger, the 7878 or the 777-200? That's a good question, Richard. I don't know with certainty, but if I had to do an educated guess, insofar as I'm educated, I would say that the Dreamliner is the smaller of the two. Tiger 74, goedemorgen. So this is KLM flight 696. It is a Boeing 7879 Dreamliner coming home from Toronto, Canada after 6 hours and 25 minutes, about to touch down here. A 5-year-old airplane that had its first flight in March of the year 2018. Hey Morgan, Christian. Always nice to see the flags go out of the wings as soon as the spoilers go up. There's worth zooming out that extra bit for. Now from a Dreamliner onto the baby bus, it is Tarom arriving from Bucharest, the daily flight today flown in the tiny A318. Flight 361 arriving from Bucharest. And the airplane is so tiny I'm even struggling to see it in the distance. And gotcha! So this flight is now underway for 2 and nearly half hours, 2 hours 28 minutes. A318, 16 years old, first flight November 2006. Marissa did some Googling and wrote that the Boeing 777 series is larger than the 787 and can thus carry more passengers. Now I can imagine that the 787-10 perhaps is a little bit smaller, bigger than the 777-200. So might be the case that in some instances the Dreamliner can carry more passengers than the triple. Although I'm not sure. Could be that the 777 is still bigger. Now, looking at flight radar, there's no immediate traffic following the A318, although I do see a 737 arriving from Berlin that is nearing Purmerend from the east, so shouldn't be too long before the next airplanes are on the glide slope. Hey there, Elton, good morning. Hope all is well. Also looking a little bit further out, visually, see if maybe I can spot that 737 arriving from the east, but I think it is just a little bit too far north and too far out in general yet, still. Romanian butt shot coming in. Mauro, good morning. Happy Sunday to you too. We're hearing another airplane passing over, departing, flying to the northeast. Air Baltic, going to Tampere, which is in Finland. We did miss an airplane that probably is underway to Frankfurt or so. At least traffic to Frankfurt is almost always on this route coming from the United States and Canada. Just too hard to see if it is a quad or a twin engine from over here. Looking in the sky, maybe there is another. Oh, there is one contrail that is a bit nearer by, but still far out. There we go. Way south of me and flying from west to east. I'm just seeing a contrail being produced and nothing more, no details. Got departures going on from runways 24, but also from runway 18 left still. Oh wait, it is already over there. Now in the meantime, let's turn around the camera because the next traffic is getting closer by. 737-800 arriving from Berlin, entering the glide slope, approaching the glide slope from the right. Oh wait, it is still a little bit further out. There we go. The first airplane and the second airplane is already on the glide slope according to flight radar, which is a Dreamliner 7879 arriving from Cartagena. So we should be seeing both in the same field of view. Or are we? Oh yeah, really in the bottom of the screen. There you go. There's the Dreamliner. Hey Alvin! What's going on, mate? Good to see you again. Right. Now, this is KLM flight 1822 in the foreground. Boeing 737-800 arriving from Berlin. Short flight, 52 minutes thus far. Probably a little bit of tailwind. Or is it always this short? 23-year-old. This airplane in the foreground. Had its first flight in May of the year 2000. And behind it is, or at least visually left of it, is KLM flight 749, a 7879 Dreamliner arriving from Cartagena. Flight time as we speak, 9 hours and 8 minutes. The airplane is 7 years old. First flight was in September 2016. And this is the orientation we are used to seeing foreground traffic in the bottom right, following traffic in the top left. Hey Michi, good morning. And good morning to all other viewers who have joined in the meantime as well. You're watching AMS Live. This is the Polderbaan runway 18 right, currently the only runway used for arrivals. And this is a 23-year-old 737-800 that has just touched down after coming back home from Berlin in Germany. At the moment, this runway is the only runway used for arrivals. We have wind blowing from the south. Departures take place from runways 24 and 18 left. But later in the morning, I am expecting runway 18C to open up as a secondary runway for arrivals when the arrivals peak later in the morning will begin. We do have one airplane relatively close by. It is flying north of me, it is flying west of me, it is flying from northeast to southwest. Looks like a twin jet. And here is the Dreamliner arriving from Cartagena. KLM flight 749. It is a Boeing 7879 Dreamliner, underway now for 9 hours and 10 minutes. A 7-year-old airplane. First flight September 2016. Rini, goedemorgen. Leon, goedemorgen. SLDKJH, good morning. Danny, goedemorgen. Lord Malkier, good morning, checking in from Hungary. Tiradayo, good morning, checking in from Perth. I should say good evening. Adam asks, which is the longest non-stop into Amsterdam? That's a good question. Jakarta, maybe? I think Jakarta is probably the longest flight. And indeed, Big Al, Russell is a bit shifty. He is also very much on his own today. Not only his bros are letting him down today, but the water still is devoid of any bird life. That I can see at least. We are hearing a moped, 50cc moped, 2-stroke. Vintage model by the looks of it. Passing by on the cycling path. Where is that bloody airplane? There we go. TV Musica, good morning, checking in from Skopje in Macedonia. Awesome. Don't recall having had viewers letting us know that they were checking in from Macedonia, so I think you're the first. Welcome. Ooh, the first queen of the day is landing on 18C, Marissa is informing us, unfortunately. That is disappointing. Now, if I recall correctly, both 747s expected before the arrival of the A380 were coming from the east, so not sure when exactly the next 747 is expected, but if it is coming from the east and 18C is still open, we might see them both go to 18C this morning. And Alvin, are you asking about the moped? We have parts in the country where mopeds need to drive on the road, particularly in the bigger cities and not on the cycling paths because they are small and cramped. But in most parts of the Netherlands, the 50cc versions that are limited to 40 kilometers per hour and that also require you to wear a helmet are basically obligated to drive on the cycling path unless directed to the road. And that's mostly in inner cities, for instance, where the cars also don't drive that fast, or at least shouldn't be allowed to drive that fast. Right, we got a special livery coming in. We already saw it once. It is British Airways BA Better World in a very light blue and white livery. Speedbird Flight 430 A320neo coming in from London Heathrow. 42 minutes of flight. And would you look at her? It's that it says BA and that the tail resembles the normal BA livery, but you wouldn't think it is British Airways otherwise. Totally different color scheme. But then again, so is the, what is it, Manchester special livery from, what is it, Etihad? Hey, Rick, Mr. Master, goedemorgen. From your holiday destination. Tuning in from Santa Susana in Spain. Probably a bit warmer over there than it is over here, isn't it? Or at least I should hope so. Hope you're enjoying your holiday, Rick. I hope all is well. 26 degrees. Poor you. But at least you won't have a runny nose over there, that's for sure. All right. Seems that we will have to wait a little bit for the next traffic. What is that? Is that the Coast Guard? I think it is. The Dash 8 100. Nicely close by. Probably just taken off from the Schiphol Oostbaan, runway 22, most likely. Oh, and did we see some upcoming traffic just now? Yeah. This is KLM flight 644, I think. 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from New York JFK, now flying downwind. Just to show you where it is. I'm now directly pointing west, a little bit northwestish. And now I think I've lost it. I lost it. Or did I? No, that's a ball on the electricity cable. Now, let me also quickly turn back so that my wires don't get too tangled. There we go. Hey Ingo, goedemorgen, groetjes. I recognize that, Rick. When it's getting colder, your nose gets runny. I did also have a little bit of a runny nose walking over here, but now that I have settled here, luckily that's no longer the case, but pretty soon it will be. And Jillard informing us about the Cargolux flying above Belgium. Seems to be going to the Polderbaan. That is good news. So that is an additional, a bonus 747 if you will. Now looking further north, is that Neo coming over here? I do see some lights. Yeah, there it is. So that is a Sky Express A320 Neo arriving from Zakynthos. That is coming next. 737-700 is behind it, coming in from the left. And arriving from the right is a 737-800 arriving from Copenhagen. Can we see them already, or is it just the one that we can see right now? By the looks of it, they aren't visible yet. Hey Evan, what is up my man? Yeah, it was the weather, brother. It was rainy all week, up to and including yesterday. On some days it was showery with periods of dry interchanged with periods where it was raining quite hard all throughout the day. Thursday the entire day was rainy. So yeah, it was mostly weather related. On one day I did have a repairman over. Had to fix the electricity meter that could not be read out by the utility company from a distance. And apparently they couldn't reset it, so had to be replaced. And Dale, good morning to you. Good to see you. Tim, good morning. Captain Infantry Adibos. The names keep getting better. Good afternoon. Or good evening. No, it is still afternoon in Indonesia. Good afternoon. Hope all is well. All other viewers who have joined us in the meantime, good morning, good evening, good night, depending on the time of day in your part of the world. You're watching AMS Live. We have 3 airplanes visible at the moment. All floating slowly to the Polderbaan. Runway 18 right. At the moment still the only runway used for arrivals, but very soon Central will also open up. There's a 747 inbound that is going to land on it. And from that moment on we will have a temporary situation with parallel arrivals. Wind is blowing from the south mostly. These airplanes are landing from south to north to south. So they are faced with mostly headwind. We have a handful of knots. It's still single digit knots last time I checked, but now that I'm saying this, I also remember that maybe it is a good time to also update the ticker once again. Sky Express A320 Neo arriving from Zakynthos. plan is to stick around until the Emirates A380 has landed. It is expected around 1 p.m. local time, the time you can see in the ticker in the bottom left corner. So that is in, what is it, 2.5 hours from now. It is ahead of schedule. Usually when the ETA is before 1 o'clock, there's a big chance it is landing on this exact runway. They usually open up the secondary runway on which it usually lands if it is on time, and the normal time of arrival is 1:15 p.m. It usually lands over there if it is on time. It has to be ahead of schedule, and it is today, so fingers crossed that we might see it on this runway. Meanwhile, I'm quickly copy-pasting the latest METAR into the ticker. Not much has changed. The temperature has increased to 15 degrees Celsius, roughly 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Still CAV okay. Ceiling and visibility are okay. The wind from 180 degrees, and this is a 737-800 arriving from Copenhagen. Flight time 57 minutes. There were originally 2 747s expected before the A380. It seems that there is a third bonus one underway. And it looks like the third one might be going to the Polderbaan. The first one, I think I can already see it, will unfortunately land on the center runway, parallel. And let me see if I can find it. Flock of birds also flying there. Should be over here somewhere. There we go. And that is Air China Cargo Flight 1001, Boeing 747-400, arriving from Chengdu. Flight time 9 hours and 53 minutes. A 28-year-old airplane that had its first flight in February 1995. And I totally looked at the wrong airplane just now, because this is the airplane that is arriving from Copenhagen. I was too far zoomed out on flight radar just now. Apologies for that. Previous 737-700 was arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle, and this one in 800 came from Copenhagen. Now, looking in the distance, a couple of big birds. We have the Dreamliner that we saw earlier as a coincidental catch, and an A350 behind it. In the foreground we have KLM Flight 644, 787-10 Dreamliner arriving from New York JFK. Current flight time is 6 hours and 5 minutes, and this Dreamliner is 3 years old, had its first flight in August 2020. Flying in between the A350 and this Dreamliner parallel is the 747, so let's see how we can work that in together. Servus Peppi, schön, dass du auch wieder dabei bist. Herzlich willkommen. Hey Johan, goedemorgen. Rinus, goedemorgen en dankjewel. Matthias, morgen. Und alle deutsch sprechende Freunde, herzlich willkommen. Schön, dass ihr dabei seid. Now I cannot follow this airplane all the while because we also have Delta flight 74 arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. It is the daily A350. I don't think we want to miss that either. Maybe if it is a bit quick, we can see the last bit of the landing. So this is a 28-year-old airplane. Underway now for nearly 10 hours, 9 hours, 56 minutes. And this airplane began flying in 1995, ladies and gentlemen. Think back at what you were doing in your life in 1995. I was in the second year of high school, I think. Here we have Delta Airlines Flight 74 arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. Flight time no longer visible because I was too late with pressing on the label. It is an A350-900, 7 years old, first flight December 2015. Now, where's that 747? Probably has landed already, or hasn't it? That's a car. Probably already moved past it. In that case, you might get to see... No. No. I think that was the last we could see of it, unfortunately. K1 in the VW over there. Are there people on that side? One cyclist. No, wait, there are more people. Also a lipstick airplane passing by, having taken off from runway 24 just now, probably Norwegian. From this angle it doesn't look like there's a grumpy face on the tail. And back to ground level, Polderbaan. Jörg, guten Morgen. Hey, Mike Wild. Probably missed that you were there. Good morning. Hope all is well. Transavia 737-800 arriving from Olbia, but up next is a Dreamliner. Yet another one, KLM flight 702, arriving from Buenos Aires. Flight time 12 hours and 7 minutes as we speak. Half a day underway. The airplane is 7 years old, had its first flight in October 2015. also almost forgot to say a big thank you to JD for gifting 5 AMS Live memberships. Thank you so much for that. That was really not necessary, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Almost missed it. Apologies for that. And a warm welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge for those who were gifted a membership by JD. And Tim says, I wasn't born then in 1995. Peter asks about the ducks. That's a good question. I don't know, babe. It's... The pond is empty. It is as if they have all gone, but so too have the fishing nets that they dropped in the water a week ago. If you guys may remember, there was a little boat in the water and they were placing some nets over here. Maybe they got rid of all the food for the ducks and all the ducks have left in anger. Maybe they have huddled together at the other runways and are now chilling over there. We have a Transavia 737-700. And it's arriving from Pisa in Italia. Flight 5424. Its flight time right now 1 hour and 52 minutes. The airplane is 20 years old. Had its first flight in March 2003. And Politie Spotter asks, is the A380 coming? And indeed it is. It is ahead of schedule, in fact. It is expected around 1 p.m. And that means it may land on the Polderbaan. So that is definitely something I'm looking forward to. Hoping it is increasing its ETA, getting more ahead of schedule. The more ahead it is on schedule, the bigger the chances are that we are going to see it land on this particular runway. Hey Infinity, goedemorgen. Evelyn, good morning. And Igor, good day. Now unfortunately I don't speak Russian. I do know some of the letters of the Cyrillic alphabet, but I have no idea what you're writing. But welcome to the show nonetheless. We have a 777 coming in from KLM flight 598. It is arriving from Cape Town, South Africa, and has been flying now for 11 hours and 24 minutes. And it was a little bit banking left and right earlier. It does look like the wind is picking. Well, the wind is picking up. I can tell that with certainty, but just interesting to see. Maybe the crosswind component also increases. Last time I checked the meter, that was not the case. In fact, it was once blowing from 170 before and now from 180 last time I checked. Now this Dreamliner 777-300ER is 14 years old already. First flight was in May 2009. Infinity, in my screen it says you were the one that did the band hammer on the Russian message. Maybe you pressed it in accidentally. Don't think there's a need to delete it right away. It is getting a little bit more busy over here, as you guys can see. Russell is still on his own over there. In the meantime, we have two airplanes coming in. A 737-800 from Transavia arriving from Mahon. Oh, and there's a third one behind it. So we have Transavia flight 5472 in the foreground. Got the Air Transat A321neo in for number 2, and number 3 is an A319 arriving from Milan, EasyJet. Okay. If Google Translate said that the message was not friendly, then leave it as it is. All right. Now, third airplane to arrive is the A320 Neo from Play. So playtime is coming. Before that, we do have a few other airplanes arriving. The first one being Air Transat A321 Neo arriving from Montreal, flight 324. A 4-year-old airplane that had its first flight in June 2019. Hey Lane, goedemorgen. Doing alright. Thank you for asking. Had to wait a little before being able to go out again. Everybody who lives in the Netherlands will know what kind of weather we've had over the last week. Was not the best. Nice to hear that the Air Transat Neo is able to produce some noise when the reverse thrust is applied. It does seem that the airplanes from the United States and Canada use reverse thrust more often than European pilots seem to be doing. Aversteria, goedemorgen, good morning. And yeah, where are the ducks? That's a good question. We've been wondering all morning. We haven't seen any. Also no ducks, no ducks, no grebes. No coots. However, we do see airplanes, and look at what is number 3. So the first airplane we see over here arriving from Milan, EasyJet flight 23859. Arriving from Milan. 14-year-old airplane, first flight March 2009. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is playtime. And after we're done playing, it is Queen time. First up is play flight 460. It is the A320neo arriving from Reykjavik. Flight time 2 hours 43 minutes. The airplane is brand new. First flight of this airplane was in March this year. Now it has landed, no wheelie, nothing too spectacular. So playtime is over and Queen time has begun. Paulo, hello, tuning in from Brazil by the looks of it. Bom dia and perfect timing. This is the second Queen of the day, but the first one that we are going to see land on this runway. It is Cargolux, operated by Cargolux Italia, flight 2616 arriving from Nairobi. Boeing 747-400. 4R7F. Flight time 8 hours 44 minutes. 16-year-old airplane, relatively young. First flight July 2007. Meanwhile, thank you so much, Evan, for your super sticker. Smiling face with hard eyes. I think that's the reaction we all have whenever we see a 747 that close by, making that nice sound. Such a nice sound. Indeed, it was a loud one. But this was one of the regular ones, wasn't it? Where is that bonus 747 that was talked about earlier? Let me zoom out. Does it officially have the destination Amsterdam? Because I'm not seeing it on flight radar, but I do have a filter on for inbound and outbound AMS. Whoa. Alvin, thank you as well for your super sticker, mate. Bear character cheerfully blowing a party horn. That is definitely what we feel like whenever there is a 747 that lands. But that super sticker definitely not necessary. Thank you so much though. Tiger 74 has to go, unfortunately, but you were able to stick around at least for the 747, so that is at least something. JD also has to go. Thank you all for joining. Now, the next airplane is perhaps, I'm looking if I can see it visually, flying downwind, arriving from Brussels, but I'm not... Oh wait, I think I do see it, but it is very faint against the whitish backdrop. Let me get a frame of reference. Where did I see it? Right, it is flying near the lantern. Very faint, but there it is. Not the next airplane though. It does look like an Embraer 190 will be next. And where is that? Is it visible already? I do see something faintly, but no. Ah, there it is. No lights on, or at least visual. Clearly visual. Okay, okay. I thought it was mentioned that there was another 747 coming in, a third one, a bonus one, but apparently these are the only two that we are going to see. If that's the case, so be it. Let's see. Got a couple of airplanes that are lining up. Can we see more than one airplane already? Yes, we have two. Suparna Queen is delayed, okay. Atlas Queen is delayed, okay. Well, we'll have to make do with what we can see and what is coming this way. For now, this is it. Now, the pipeline is consisting of an Embraer 190 arrival from Luxembourg in the foreground. In the center is a 737-800 from KLM arriving from London Heathrow. ITA Airways is number 3 up north. A320 arriving from Milan. Although I'm not yet seeing that one. Let me zoom out. Let me also have a look on the camera screen. No, that third one is still too far out, I think, to see. In the meantime, Bisnovat uses this little break to celebrate. Keep it up, he says. Thank you so much for your ongoing support, Bisnovat. And congratulations. Still not seeing that third airplane. Hey Pierre, tuning in from down under. Good afternoon then. Good arvo. KLM Embraer 190 arriving from Luxembourg. Hey Ross, goedemorgen, good morning. Good to see you again, hope all is well. And indeed, as Marissa is saying, we are still due for the A340 from Surinam Airways. So 747, A380 and A340, all three of the quad jets. I'm also looking around, I'm not seeing any quad jets in the air right now. That would have been the icing on the cake, of course. And again, the weather is favorable for contrail formation, so who knows what might be. I do notice a little bit more wobbliness in the footage due to the wind. Let me see if enabling image stabilizer will help mitigate that after this airplane has completed its landing. that right away. Menu. Image stabilizer. Standard. Apply. Exit. Menu. There we go. See if that makes a difference. Do see some more traffic in the sky right now, as you guys might be able to see. Got a contrail moving away. And also another one coming this way. There's also one moving south to north by the looks of it. It's all in the east, all further away, so unable to show you more details than what I have been doing just now. I do see that the wind is picking up. You can also tell by looking at the smoke, which is definitely leaving the chimney more horizontally than earlier in the morning. Oh, that is still being fully zoomed in. ITA Airways flight 120, Airbus A320 arriving from Milan, flight time 1.5 hours. The airplane is 14 years old, about to land on Polderbaan. Hey there Rifat, goedemorgen, good morning. Mark also inquiring about the ducks. Unfortunately, they seem to have gone. We haven't seen a single duck or coot or grebe in the stream thus far. Would expect them to pop up at some point. Now, also further south, it doesn't seem like there are any ducks in the water at all right now. Not here. Definitely not here. And further up north, more of the same. Although I'm not sure if maybe here really far up north I'm seeing one bird in the water, but even if it were the case, they are hiding quite well today. Got an E2 Embraer 195 coming up next, arriving from Manchester. It is still a little out. I'm curious to see what the wind is doing, so let me also quickly go to my laptop and go to flight radar and copy paste the latest METAR, see what the wind is doing, because I do believe it is continuing to pick up. Doesn't feel like the wind direction has changed all that much, so not expecting significant crabbing all of a sudden, but yeah, it does. It has increased to 11 knots. Wind direction variable between 150 and 210 degrees. So yeah, that might explain the crabbing we do sometimes see, because the wind is variable between southwest and southeast basically. Also, for as long as it is still the case, update the arrivals runway. There we go. Right, so I've updated the ticker. As you guys can see, the wind particularly has increased a little bit in speed and the direction has become a bit more varied. Still, the overall direction of the wind is from the south, so headwind mostly. And this E2 Embraer 195 is coming back from Manchester, where it left 45 minutes ago. It also should have the 1700th E-Jet sticker on the front of the fuselage. Now this E2 is 1 year old and had its first flight in September 2022. Oh, that's good news, Melissa, who was letting us know that the Emirates A380's ETA has gotten a few minutes sooner. Now nearly 10 to 1 ETA. And that is good news, ladies and gentlemen. The sooner it gets here, the bigger the chance that it is going to land on Polderbaan. Well, of course it has to. It mustn't be too early, but anything between 12:30 and 1 p.m. more or less means it is going to land on this runway. They typically open up the secondary runway for arrivals around 1 p.m. So it is good news. And thank you, Russ, who liked looking at the time lapse of the landing. I did notice that having auto white balance on was not the best move. I had to desaturate the image a little bit, otherwise it would be too noticeable. Forgot to put that on manual as well. It would have been nicer if the traffic density was a bit higher, but you never know beforehand how it's going to pan out. Embraer 175 arriving from Dublin, Ireland. Little butt shots, and after that, next up, JetBlue. Now JetBlue in the meantime has become a familiar name over here at Schiphol. However, it was last Thursday that they started flying in from Boston in addition to flying in from New York JFK. So this is the Sunday, the third or fourth flight from Boston that is now coming over. First time that the Boston airplane is in the live stream, at least. JetBlue Airways, flight 631. I think the other one is 62288 or 8822, if I recall correctly. One from JFK. It is another Airbus A321neo. Flight time 6 hours and 10 minutes, 11 minutes in the meantime. The airplane is 2 years old and had its first flight in June 2021. You do sometimes see the airplanes bank left and right a little bit. The wind is definitely making the pilots work a bit harder now than a couple of hours ago. JetBlue butt shots coming in. Pierre asks, are there any fish in the water? I think there are. I regularly am standing here and hearing a splash, and that is probably a tail fin from a fish that is swimming just below the waterline. I haven't seen any people fish over here, but I'm pretty sure that there are fish here. Hey John, good morning. Oh, it's wet and windy in West Wales. That's not good. I had hoped that you guys would be having a bit of sunshine like we do over here as well. There we go. Embraer 190 arriving from Southampton. That is Pegasus A321 Neo arriving from Istanbul, going to center. The A380 over Hungary, but we'll be going over Slovakia, where Peter lives, in a moment. So it is underway. And hopefully we'll see it up close today. Well, meanwhile, over here it is Embraer 190 rush hour. We have one arriving from Southampton just now. This one is coming in from Bristol. And there's a third one behind it arriving from Edinburgh. In the meantime, a 737 is on its way to the center runway. Little wheelie. It's apparently not Captain Wheelie behind the steering wheel today. And going to center is a 737-800 from KLM arriving from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Now, here we see yet another Embraer 190, KLM Flight 1278 arriving from Edinburgh. Flight time 1 hour and 5 minutes. 5-year-old airplane, first flight February 2018. And it seems that there's an A320 arriving from Malta, from Air Malta, going to center right now, parallel to this airplane, and it seems that the Embraer 190s have taken over the traffic to center as well. Embraer 190 from Aalborg, Stavanger. Now, whenever there is an Embraer 190 landing, always take heed of the wheelies, because there are 1 or 2 pilots, and maybe this is one of them, that likes to make long wheelies. Yes, of course, it is Captain Wheelie. I think it's not that long, not as long as the one I made that short clip of, but it is definitely in the ballpark, and definitely one of the longest, if not the longest, that we have seen so far today. Now the Embraers are taking over. Embraer 190 also heading for center. Got 2 back-to-back, and there is an Embraer 175 coming to the Polderbaan. It is Embraer Mania. Yeah, indeed, Sander, very close though. Definitely came very close. Maybe I should do a side-to-side comparison. See how much they resemble each other. Can we deduce by the wheelie style if it is the same, maybe is the same pilot or not? So this is German Airways, but it is flying for KLM, an Embraer 190 arriving from Aalborg, flying as KLM flight 1330. Got another Embraer 190 behind it, also going to center. We have an Embraer 175 coming to the Polderbaan, arriving from Lyon. Okay, Sander, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, buddy. See you soon. You take care, man. Meanwhile, another Embraer is coming to our runway, quote unquote our runway. EasyJet A319 arriving from Prague will be going to the center runway. Ah, there's an A330 somewhere in the north, and it is flying to the glide slope. I'm thinking we might be able to pick it up if it were close enough to the glide slope already. But as we're not seeing it, or at least I wasn't seeing it, perhaps it was there, and you guys saw it, but out here on my little screen I didn't see it, at least. So that's a hunt for the A330. Have we seen any Delta A330s today? I think we haven't, have we? What is up with that? They are normally prime deliverers of noisy landings, and hey, Russell has his bro with him. They've multiplied. First there was one, now there are two. Hey, that's not good news. The A330 is continuing to center, as Marissa was already writing in the comments, and I only saw that just now. What is up? I think, yeah. So that means there's a runway inspection going on, and that is typically preceded by the closure of the other runway. Which means I think in 5 or 10 minutes or so from now we are going to see all traffic come to Polderbaan once again until 1 o'clock or so. Means that they are temporarily putting this runway out of commission so that they can do the runway inspection. As you can see, the bird controllers are doing something out there. Let me have a look on my right. There they are doing something. Dane is informing us that the Orange Pride is coming. Well, I sure hope that it will go to Polderbaan and not land on the center runway as the A330 is now doing. This is KLM flight 765, Airbus A330-300 arriving from Bonaire. And it is coming home from Bonaire. Bonaire. Now this airplane is 11 years old. The first flight was in February 2012. Flight time 8 hours and 46 minutes. Wind is definitely picking up. Footage is still a bit shaky now and then, even despite having enabled image stabilizer. Bird controller on its way over to the other side of the runway. Got the lights on. Definitely indicative of a runway inspection in progress. Hopefully they'll finish it before the PHBVA arrives. The Orange Pride 777. If I recall correctly, from Panama City today. So arriving from the west and ordinarily expected to arrive on this runway, the Polderbaan. Now the Austrian A320 also, but that is not abnormal. Arriving from the east, it is expected to land on center. Right, I see another airplane arrive from the west in the north, arriving from Newcastle, Embraer 190. Let's see if it is going to go to this runway. If it is, then the Orange Pride will also land on this runway, because then it will have reopened again. Now, in the meantime, folks, it is still quiet in water. Hey, but I do see a quad jet nearby in the sky. That looks like an A380. It is flying north of me and west of me. Flying west to east. If I had to venture a guess, looking at the tail, I do think I recognize Emirates. And obviously looking at the wing, it is an A380. Bit of a no-brainer actually. Question is, where is it coming from? Is it from the UK? Or the North Atlantic tracks a bit more southerly, and has it actually come from the other side of the Atlantic? Destination, most likely Dubai. So that is one Emirates A380 we have at least seen. Although this is not exactly up close. But relatively close by still. But the water, as I was showing you, still devoid of any bird life today. Even further south, it appears that the water is empty. And thank you guys for letting me know that the A380 is from Houston to Dubai. That is cool. Now, there's an Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle over here. Or at least it should be here somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. They are small little creatures, hard to see against the whitish backdrop. This is KLM flight 954, Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle. Short flight, 48 minutes, 5-year-old airplane, first flight February 2018. And this is all standard zoom, standard optical zoom of the Canon XA40, folks. It has an equivalent zoom of, I believe, 600 millimeters in, what is it, standard 35 millimeter equivalent. So if you have a decent tripod like I do and also secure it, then you can follow it relatively well. If it were wind still, it would have been even better. Now, as Marissa was already mentioning, and I'm already seeing, and you guys can too if you look on Flight Radar, the PHBVA is fourth to arrive on Polderbaan. Now, if I recall correctly, the A340 from Surinam should also arrive around this time, 11:30 to 12 p.m. So expect that as well. Got two airplanes visible right now. Also looking on my laptop screen. Oh yeah, the third one is also visible, but it is at 7 o'clock of the middle one. Still very faint. Let's first have a look at the landing of this Embraer 190 arriving from Newcastle. It is an Embraer 190, so maybe one of the wheelie pilots, the wheelie captains, is on board. We already saw one that was out there. Another home run. Can we see a second one? Well, not from this pilot at least. So, to recap, the Emirates A380 arriving from Dubai, expected 10 to 1, 5 to 1 p.m. local time. Due to it being ahead of schedule with an arrival time before 1 p.m, chances are, but I'm not going to say it too loud, chances are that it is going to land on this runway. We're also expecting the Surinam Airways A340 arriving from Paramaribo within the next half hour, I think. And number 3 for arrival right now is the PHBVA, the 777 Orange Pride from KLM. Hey Mats, goedemorgen. Good morning. Good to see you again, buddy. Hope all is well. Got a 737 in the far right, in the far left, the third airplane. I'm also hearing turboprops, but is that airplane? Well, let me have a look. There is an airplane flying over there. A little bit higher perhaps. Maybe a little bit higher. Ah, that is difficult. There's something flying over here, and I'm not sure if it is the turboprop I'm hearing. Ah, that is an Antonov, okay. Well, I saw it visually, I am still seeing it visually, but it is really hard to get it in the picture. Let me try again. Should be visible at least somewhere. Let me have another look. Also perhaps. Alright, there it is. Guiding the camera while looking at my laptop screen. Now let's zoom in. Still not seeing it on my camera. The sun is immediately behind it. That is definitely not working out today. In that respect, I cannot wait for the weather to get more overcast, because visibility on the camera screen is probably going to be a whole lot better. Right, German Airways Embraer 190 flying for KLM as KLM flight 1986, arriving from Basel, flight time 1 hour and 8 minutes. It is an Embraer 190 long range, 16 years old. First flight of this airplane was in January 2007. Hey, Yorkshire biker! Good to see you again, mate. Hope all is well. You have perfect timing. Yeah, and indeed, if you guys followed the weather over here in the Netherlands, and I know that Yorkshire knows the websites where you can look at the weather and also traffic, etc. You could have seen that we've had shitty weather. We did have windy weather on one of the 2 days that I have my day job. It was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Tuesday. I had to go to the office in Amsterdam, so near Schiphol, and I was underway thinking, oh, wish I had the day off today. It was nice and windy, stormy even a little bit. There you go, some of the days we had showers, but it was never a fully... We never had several hours where it was actually dry. There was always showers or showers very nearby where it looked like it was going to rain anytime soon, or it was raining all day throughout, like on Thursday it was the case. It's the PHBVA, the Orange Pride that we saw arrive from Panama City. The 777-300ER. By now, you all know it. 15 years old, first flight January 2008. Isn't that also the age and first... I think it's as old, the Orange Pride, as the chocolate livery from German Airways. That was also 15 years old and had its first flight in January 2008, if I recall correctly. The D-APRI. Anyway. Hey Anne, goedemorgen. Is it still morning? Yeah, it is still morning. Good to see all of you together again. Hope everybody is enjoying and having a nice Sunday. We're here until the Emirates A380 has landed. It is expected in 1 hour and 10 minutes or so from now. It is ahead of schedule with its arrival time before 1 p.m. That makes the likelihood of it landing on this runway much bigger. There's no 100% guarantee, but chances have increased significantly since its ETA is before 1 p.m. Now before that, we're still waiting for the Surinam Airways A340 that is expected to arrive. Yeah, well, when was the ETA? I think it was before 12 o'clock. Arriving from Paramaribo. The only A340 that regularly visits Amsterdam. We do sometimes see A340s from other carriers, but Surinam Airways is the one that is consistently flying to and from Amsterdam. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Not seeing it on flight radar over the Netherlands yet. I do see other interesting planes coming this way. That is nice. Next up, the Peter Pan Vakantieclub livery of Transavia. Now, if I recall correctly, somebody told me when I asked about it that it is a club for children who are sick to go on holidays, to organize that, which I didn't know. This airplane is Transavia flight 6116, arriving from Malaga. Flight time 2 hours and 33 minutes. The airplane is 10 years old. First flight March 2013. Hey Jerry, good to see you, buddy. Hope all is well in Portland. Nice cheerful livery. Thanks for that update, Jendrosek. Surinam Airways is over Spijkerboer already. Cool. Paul has to go. That is very much a shame. But, oh, going for a week's holiday in Campervenna. That's also nice. Enjoy the holiday, mate. Well deserved, undoubtedly. Also have a twin jet coming this way. Let's have a quick look before going back to the Dreamliner that is arriving next. Flying east to west and a little bit north to south. Still east of me and a little bit north of me, but it looks like it is coming my way, exactly. Twin jet. That is as much as I can tell from over here right now. There's more to say about this airplane, which is KLM flight 604, and it is arriving from LAX. First, let's look at the touchdown and the vanishing flex. Got a little wheelie to boot. Nowhere near as long as that Embraer from KLM. And this Dreamliner is 3 years old. First flight May 2020. That is a nice name, Austrian Wolf. Yoga plane. Because of the flex. And Jeffrey tuning in all the way from Kenya, Nairobi. Good morning to you. Or is it still... Is it afternoon already? Is there a time difference between Kenya and... or at least between Nairobi and Amsterdam? Don't think there was, but I'm not sure. Now, for some reason this is the number 5 worldwide most tracked airplane on Flight Radar at the moment. 460 people, it says here, are tracking this airplane. It is Surinam Airways flight 994. Airbus A340-300 coming in from Paramaribo, a bit later than normal. Flight time 8 hours and 10 minutes. The airplane is 15 years old and this airplane began flying in April of the year 2008. The slowest climber in the game probably reached cruising altitude shortly before arriving to Europe. Now floating to the Polderbaan to touch down in a few minutes. An A330 with that little two-wheeled main landing gear in between the two big ones is what it looks like to me. Of course, double the engines, but twice as tiny perhaps. Right, reversers all seem to be functioning again. Last time I saw it land, the right inner or outer reversers did not seem to work. But that has resolved by the looks of it. I'm wondering, is there a significant difference in fuselage length between the A340-300 and the A330-300? To me it seems like different engines and an additional set of wheels, and that's it. They look the same. Okay, and it is already afternoon in East Africa, Jeffrey says. Well, good afternoon then, Jeffrey, and welcome. And that is indeed a common description that I also have heard. A plane powered by 4 hair dryers, as FSC Vesta was mentioning. Now, Alvin, thank you so much for yet another super sticker saying lemon character running, then kneeling on the floor, his arms wide open and a slice of lemon appearing behind him. That one I have to look and see what it looks like, because that looks interesting. Totally uncalled for, but thank you nonetheless for that, Alvin. Priscilla, good morning, tuning in from Haarlem. Oh, that's nearby. If you scream loudly, we will probably be able to hear you then. Although the wind is blowing from the opposite direction, so you have to scream a little louder if you want to say hi. Alright, now Embraer 190 arriving from Bologna is what we are seeing right now. KLM flight 1586 taking the first exit, so we get a KLM butt shot in a few seconds. Hey Vinny, goedemorgen. Yeah, it is still morning. Keep double checking if I'm saying the proper greeting. My way, hello from Florida, USA. That is 6 hours earlier, if I recall correctly. So it's almost 6 a.m. Is that correct? Good morning. And welcome, of course. Now, next up is KLM flight 682, arriving from Vancouver, Canada. This 777-300ER has been flying for 8 hours and 26 minutes and will be touching down in a few seconds. The airplane is 8 years old and began flying in March 2015. Yeah, meticulously following the cockpit without zooming out. Apparently not such a good idea when image stabilizer is on and it is windy. And Russell knows it. He's not impressed. Clearly he isn't. Alright, Alvin has to go. Thank you so much for joining again, mate. Enjoy the rest of your evening and see you soon, buddy. Rino, good morning still. least over here. Good to see you again. Indeed, long time no see. On my end, last week I wasn't able to make it due to the rain. Mostly due to the rain. Also had appointments, but that was just on one day. Now I did come to the realization last week that with working my day job 2 days a week and streaming on the other 5 days, as I have been doing for several weeks now lately, is a bit overkill. It doesn't allow me enough time to do other things like chores around the house. I moved last year, still have some gardening stuff to do, painting stuff that I need to do. Also relaxing every now and then. Sleeping in, also very important. I'm a night owl by nature, so I never go to bed before midnight, but every time I go out streaming or have to work, the alarm goes at 7 a.m. So you're quickly accumulating fatigue and sleep deprivation. So I do think in the upcoming months I am going to lower the streaming frequency to 3 or 4 times a week. I'm thinking about maybe taking the Mondays off. But of course that is all weather dependent, as all my streaming is, because if there is a storm expected on a day that I did not intend to go stream but am not obligated to do my day job, then I will make time to go out streaming, obviously, because that is something everybody wants to see, including myself. The thing is, you see a 4-hour stream, but after I'm done, also the work that I do afterwards, updating the thumbnail, highlighting the timestamping the highlights, etc., typically means that I'm finished with the stream related stuff around 4 p.m. or so. So 1 4-hour stream amounts to nearly a working day of work. So there really wasn't enough time for me to do other stuff as well. Hey Danny, goedemiddag. And Burak just answered my question. Thank you, Burak, who writes, the A340-300 is really just an A330-300/900, but with 4 instead of 2 engines, and indeed an extra central landing gear. So I always thought they were looking so similar, but turns out that they are more or less identical. Alright, 777 time, ladies and gentlemen. But not before thanking John for just becoming a member of the Aurora Sky Lounge. Welcome, and thank you so much for your support there, John. We now are looking at KLM flight 736 arriving from Curaçao. Boeing 777-300ER has been flying now for 8 hours and 37 minutes. This airplane is 11 years old. First flight was in June 2012. And we have another wheelie competitor. not the longest. It's funny how at first all the longest wheelies were from Delta A330s or KLM 777s or Dreamliners, and now lately the longest wheelies we have seen typically come from KLM Embraer 190s. And Dino asks about the weather over here. Well, let me show you. It is a bit hazy here and there, but it is cirrus clouds in the upper atmosphere, so 10 kilometers or so upwards. You can see the feathering. On ground level, visibility is unimpeded. We have more blue skies looking to the southeast where the sun is at. Beautiful vista. Got some contrails in the distance. Few cirrus clouds. Looking southwest, you can also see a bit more cloudiness, and also looking to the west, over sea, also appears to be a bit more cloudiness. In general, lovely weather. Although the day did begin quite cold, I am standing here with my parka on, and in fact I even brought gloves along just as a precautionary measure. Turns out I didn't need them, but better safe than sorry. Now, next up, Embraer 190 arriving from Zurich. In terms of wheelies, not that spectacular. Yeah, let me continue experimenting a little bit and go back to switching off the image stabilizer and have a look and see how the footage comes out. Got Russell over here. Just did a flyby, noisy flyby. Now the water, surprisingly, even though it is later in the morning and in fact now early afternoon, is still very much empty. I'm surprised that the ducks and coots and grebes all joined forces and chose to stay away. Maybe they thought, after having not seen me for a few days, that I had gone and thought that they could also go on holiday or so. But that would be arrogant of me to think that that would actually come up in their minds. Although it would be nice if it were the case. Oh dear, no. The bumpiness without image stabilizer is worse than when it is enabled. That is quite apparent. Embraer 175 arriving from Darlington, by the way, KLM flight 1534. Going for the first exit, butt shot coming in, quick enter in a menu and go back to enabling image stabilizer. All right. Hey, Sumo Burger, tuning in from Apeldoorn and not Australia. There's a big difference. All right. So we're still waiting for the Emirates A380, ladies and gentlemen. It is expected in 45 minutes or so from now. Meaning its ETA is before 1 p.m. So we're hoping that today the A380 is going to land on Polderbaan because it is ahead of schedule, and normally the secondary runway for arrivals will open up around 1 p.m. So anything expected to land before 1 p.m. will most likely land on this runway we are standing next to, but there's no guarantee, of course. Mrs. Professor getting a headache has to go off to bed. Well, I sure hope that you wake up without a headache then. Thanks for joining and all the best. Quick sip of water as the next airplane slowly glides to the runway threshold. 737-800 arriving from Helsinki. KLM flight 1166. 737-800. 15 years old. First flight May 2008. Also a little wheelie. I was about to say the little wheelie was becoming a big wheelie, but then the nose gear touched and it was really no more. Right. Got another 737 up next, a 700 to be precise. Arriving from Bergen, flight 1186. Flight time 1 hour and 23 minutes. 13-year-old airplane, first flight January 2010. Got two 737-700s, and I think the first Delta A330 that we have seen so far is approaching as number 3. About damn time, I should say. Wat zegt u? Die komt nog. Die komt tussen 10 voor 1 en 5 voor 1. Maar als het goed is, komt hij wel hier naartoe. De kans is wel groot dat hij hier landt. Het duurt nog even, dat klopt. Dag. Alright. A lady passed by inquiring about the A380. Which you Dutchies probably understood. Hopefully. Right. A tiny 737-700. And we get to see yet another one behind it. Now, where is it? There it is. I was about to say, I did see it visually already. KLM flight 1344 arriving from Billund, another 737-700, departed from Billund 56 minutes ago. 12-year-old airplane, first flight May 2011, and behind it, I think it is the first A330 from Delta that we're going to see today. Funny that it has taken so long. We did see Delta Airlines flight 74, the A350. Now mind you, ladies and gentlemen, I did re-enable image stabilizer, but the wind is not slowing down by any means. Unfortunately, it is blowing mostly from the runway heading, so not a lot of crabbing or difficult landings because of it, but fall has begun, autumn, and so too have the winds, it seems like. You can see the waviness increase by the hour. Nice visual confirmation. Well, Marissa, there's only one way to find out. Obviously, the beforehand chance of it going to Polderbaan are slim to none, so as long as it is expected around 1 p.m. or earlier, that immediately increases the chances. But as I said before, nothing is assured beforehand. Delta A330 in the background, an Embraer 190 arriving from Stuttgart. And Priscilla, I have not lunched yet. I will do that once I get home after I'm finished streaming. Did have a good breakfast before going out, so I'm still good. In fact, one more week and then it is another 6 weeks of dieting for me after having eaten more or less unrestrictedly for 4.5 months. Well, we did get to hear the reverse thrust being applied, but it was only short-lived and not very long in front of us, unfortunately. Now that Embraer 190 arrival from Stuttgart is over there. We might see another Embraer 190 come into the field of view from the left behind it in a few minutes. Hey Rosa, goedemorgen. Well, good afternoon in fact. Just turned afternoon over here. But I've been confusing morning and afternoon all morning. Well, where is that airplane? There it is. Let me see if fixating the tripod, which I totally forgot to do, will undoubtedly help to stabilize the footage a bit. Still wobbly otherwise because of the wind, despite the... Yeah, that's much better. See, that's what you get when you don't go out to stream for a week. You forget those little things like fixating the tripod. Only after 2.5 hours do you remember, oh yeah, that's also helpful to make the image a bit more stable. Persfotograaf Sam, goedemorgen. Fred, good evening. Good to see you again, mate. Hope all is well. So we're seeing two Embraer 190s gradually floating towards the runway. There is a 777-200 following. Will be arriving from the left, but not before we have to switch to the camera, to the airplane over here in the foreground. We might get to see, well, I'm not sure if we are going to see the 777, well, could also go back to it. It's always nice to see one airplane on the glide slope already and see one in the background enter the glide slope, or turn into the glide slope, onto the glide slope I should say. Nose up, nicely, promising. But it's not going to be a record wheelie. Nose gear was lowered too soon. Let's see if we can capture the 777 and the second Embraer in one shot. Now there is a 777-200 that is arriving from the west, from the left, in a few minutes. I'm hoping that the field of view is now such that we can see that happening. And Jerry asks about Russell and Sheryl Crow, and there is the 777. Russell seems to be mostly on his own today. I do see Russell behind me on one of the lanterns. He did have one companion earlier in the morning, only temporarily. And no coots, no grebes, no ducks, zero. I go away for a few days and they leave as well, it seems like. Right, our chocolate airplane is back. It is the D-APRI from German Airways, flying for KLM. As KLM flight 1060, arriving from Cardiff. Flight time 50 minutes. The airplane indeed the same age as the PHBVA Orange Pride, 15 years old. First flight of both airplanes in January 2008. Chocolate. Anna has to go. Thanks for joining, Anna. Enjoy the rest of your day, mate. Right, let's quickly turn around the camera because we have a couple of big birds coming in and the first one is approaching already. It is KLM flight 751 arriving from Guayaquil in Ecuador. 777-200 ER. Flight time 10 hours and 46 minutes. The airplane is 18 years old. First flight was in September 2004. And there is an A320 behind it somewhere. According to flight radar, arriving from the left onto the glide slope. Short circuit. Let's have a look, see if we can see it. There it is. JD and Jerry going for the macadamia cookies. Macadamia nuts are nice, aren't they? They have this bite, one of a kind. Hey Johanna, goedemiddag. Still from Drenthe. Next week, a bit closer by. Enjoy the period in Drenthe. Hey, Crystal, goedemiddag. Happy Sunday, and happy Sunday to you all. Next up is an EasyJet A320, and oh, Sally the seagull, we have a second bird over here. How about that? Oh, they are all on the move today, aren't they? And off she goes. Sorry? Nee, AMS Live. Is live vision niet gewoon een webcam?
Nee, even, ik volg ook een YouTube kanaal van al die vliegtuigen.
Ik dacht dat dat gewoon een statische webcam was, van een bouwwebcam of zo.
Ik heb hier live vision, Schiphol.
Ja, maar die camera beweegt toch niet? Dat is toch, volgens mij is dat gewoon een webcam die op zo'n paal staat of zo?
Dat weet ik niet.
Er staat daar verderop staat volgens mij een paal en er staat volgens mij is dat een webcam.
AMS. Ja, AMS toch?
Ik ben AMS Live, ja. Ja. Alright, so this has been EasyJet flight 21221, and let me fixate the tripod a little bit because my phone is now a little bit crooked. There you go. Yeah, Peter, indeed. People were mistaking me for LA flights. Exactly. Alrighty, got two airplanes up next. Oh, Jerry saw a grebe. You're kidding, where? I'm only seeing one crow, and we did see the seagull just now. Alright. We've got a lot. Embraer 190 arriving from Warsaw, standard livery. And you can see that the wind appears to be a bit more southwesterly right now. Just a teensy bit of crabbing. The airplane looking us in the face. Year-old airplane, first flight January 2009, and the grebe was to the left. Well, I'm not seeing it in the water, Jerry. At least as far as I can see, the water seems to be completely empty when it comes to birds today. Here we have KLM flight 744 arriving from Lima in Peru. I was too late to press on the details, so the flight time is no longer mentioned, but it is 11 hours plus, definitely. The airplane is 6 years old, first flight January 2017. Let's see if we have some time to update the ticker with the latest weather after this airplane has completed its wheelie. Ooh, also in the ballpark of the top contenders. I think it wasn't as long as the Embraer 190 we saw earlier, and I think we do have a few moments to do a little catch up on the ticker and the weather. So let me do just that right now. Got an Aer Lingus Airbus coming next, approaching from Dublin, Ireland. So I'm updating the weather. The wind has increased to 12 knots from 190 degrees right now. Runway 18 right, the only runway in use for departures. So the wind is increasing and it has turned a little bit southwesterly. Just a teensy bit. Hey Joppie, goedemiddag. Well, even fixating the tripod does not do any good when the wind is blowing too hard. Got two two Airbus A320s coming back to back. The first one from Aer Lingus arriving from Dublin, the second one from Vueling arriving from Barcelona. Dirty, this airplane. Then again, it is 19 years old already. Had its first flight in July 2004. Up next, Vueling A320 arriving from Barcelona. Got a 737-800 after it, and after that number 3 is going to be another Delta A330. So looking forward to see the A330. Hopefully it will make a loud entrance into the Netherlands. Hey, nieuwe goedemiddag. Good to see you again. Right. 737-800 up next, KLM. Arriving from Milan. KLM flight 1620, flight time 1 hour and 24 minutes. 9-year-old airplane, first flight March 2014, and behind it Delta Airlines flight 144, Airbus A330-300 arriving from Seattle, Washington State. 8 hours and 54 minutes of flight time, and that is a 16-year-old airplane that had its first flight in August 2007. Third airplane visible. Triple 7 KLM arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. You might be wondering, is it a bit windy? Why, yes it is. Wind has definitely picked up over the morning and seems like it's continuing to do so. Mostly from the runway heading, so not a lot of spectacular crabbing or go-arounds. We're still waiting for the Emirates A380. It is expected in half an hour or so, a little bit under half an hour hopefully. Right now we have Delta Airlines Flight 144 approaching from Seattle, and there is a 777 behind it arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. Got a third airplane visible in the back already. That is an A320neo EasyJet. And indeed, Jerry, that's an Airbus from Boeing's backyard. Nice philosophical way to look at it. Now, up next, KLM flight 622, arriving from Atlanta, Georgia. A Boeing 777-300ER, flight time 7 hours and 34 minutes. The airplane 10 years old, first flight May 2013. We have an Airbus A320neo behind it, and an Embraer 190 and an E2 Embraer 195 behind it. Now, as soon as the A380 has entered Dutch airspace, you can have a look and see to which runway it is going to go. If you look at omgevingsinfo Schiphol, which I'm sure some of you will do. So once it enters Dutch airspace, we will soon enough find out what it's going to do. In the meantime, over here I'm standing in shade, semi-shade, because the sun is now behind a few high clouds. They aren't necessarily increasing in number or presence, the clouds. There are still patches of blue, but over here, looking to the north, it is a bit more milky. Right, the next airplane to arrive, A320neo EasyJet flight 27906, arriving from Dubrovnik, flight time 2 hours and 23 minutes, 3-year-old airplane, first flight October 2019. Behind it is an Embraer 190 that is arriving from Berlin, from KLM. And the third airplane also visible faintly. That is an E2 Embraer 195 from KLM arriving from Prague. You might also hear an airplane take off. That's an Embraer 190 going to Aalborg once again. Oh, and we also have an A330 from Finnair that is taking off to Helsinki, passing us by. Let me see. It is a little bit over there. Going back to Helsinki, Finland, A330 just taken off from Schiphol. Right, Embraer 190 arriving from Berlin. Up next on Polderbaan. Okay, so unfortunately A380 is going to go to center. People are already mentioning in the chat that that has now been confirmed, so even if it was ahead of schedule, it still wasn't enough. That is unfortunate, however we are well positioned to see it from over here. The zoom on my camera is decent enough so that we at least see a bit more than if it were, for instance, to land on runway 27, but a bit of a bummer. Right, so this is the E2 Embraer 195 arriving from Prague, Czech Republic, flight 1354. Brand new airplane, began flying in January of this year. E2 butt shot. Right, next up will be an Embraer 175 arriving from Genoa. And the next two airplanes visible in the same shot over here. So in the foreground, Embraer 175 arriving from Genoa. Behind it, 737-800 arriving from Madrid. Behind it, A320 arriving from Milan. And after that, should be a 737 arriving from Rome. So this is KLM flight 1562. Embraer 175 arriving from Genoa, 7-year-old airplane. Alright, KLM flight 1700 next, 737-800. Arriving from Madrid, España. Flight time of this airplane right now, 2 hours and a minute. The airplane is 23 years old. First flight was in June 2000. EasyJet A320neo behind it, arriving from Milan, already visible. And more goodies from Italy. KLM 737-800 arriving from Rome as number 3. Now I have to say I am a bit surprised by the lack of Delta A330s in this stream. Normally they are the second most viewed after all the narrow bodies from KLM, to put them all on one heap. It's only a handful today. Interesting. Do see some more bros over there. Got Russell and 2 bros over there. Otherwise the water over here still devoid of bird life. Or at least if there are birds over here that I have missed, then I sure need to go to Specsavers again, get me some new glasses, because remarkably all day it's been awfully quiet. It seems like they are on holiday en masse. Have gone on holiday en masse. Right, now this is EasyJet flight 27806 arriving from Milan. A320neo, flight time 1 hour 31 minutes. A 1-year-old airplane that had its first flight in July 2022, so just turned 1 a few months ago. Right, let me zoom out a little bit, see where that A380 is hanging out. Where is it? Alright, it is in the vicinity of Dronte, nearing Lelystad. Right, Austrian Wolf, I am indeed sticking around until the A380 has landed, and after that I am going to wrap it up for today. Ah, nice, Joanna. Have a caravan in Drenthe, spend the summer over there, and then when the summer season is over, go back to Haarlem. That is much closer by than Drenthe, that is for sure. Now, this is the only airplane still flying, or at least the only 737, but I think it's the last one in the entire fleet that is still flying with the previous iteration of the livery. Recognizable by the straight line from front to back between the blue on the top and the white on the bottom. The smile or the whale or whatever you would want to call that curvature, that is now the new livery, is of course the latest iteration of the livery. Now, in the meantime, thank you so much, Ian, for becoming a member. Welcome to the Aurora Sky Lounge and thank you for your support. We are seeing quite a few airplanes making their way over here, as the first airplanes for center are also coming in. Looking to the west, there are a few big birds also coming our way. Got two MAX 8s from Iceland Air, no less. Not consecutive, but they must have left Iceland within 10 minutes from each other. Got a Delta A330neo also coming. That would be the first one of the stream, I think. So that makes one A350 and one A330neo after it has landed. Scorecard for today. Then again, we did also have the A340. Now we're going to see the A380, albeit from a distance. I see landing lights in the distance visually, and there we go. Also have them optically, or at least on camera. Next up, Top Air Portugal. Airbus A319 is what I was initially trying to say. Top Air Portugal flight 674, arriving from Lisbon, where it departed from 2 hours and 27 minutes ago. The airplane is 23 years old. First flight was in November 1999, so we have a true millennial on our hands. Let's see, I see two airplanes. Oh yeah, third one faintly visible, 7 o'clock from the second one. Right, Top Air Portugal, 23-year-old airplane, up next. Indeed, Derek, that's a good question. I think it probably has to do with flexibility. Because I'm sure that not on all days they get the same amount of people flying on the airplanes, and I think if you have a fleet of smaller airplanes, you're much more flexible. So I'm thinking that is probably part of the equation. Right, so as the first airplane passes me by, right of me, For runway center, number 175, this is Vueling flight 1377 arriving from Alicante, Airbus A320, 7-year-old airplane. Hey there, HK215, good morning. Got a Transavia coming in from Alicante up next. And behind it is the first of the two 737 MAX 8s from Iceland Air arriving from Reykjavik. Parallel to that, there is a Turkish A332 arriving from Istanbul, which is going to center. This is Transavia flight 6144. Alright. Melissa says, from what I can see, both are daily Iceland Air flights. So probably just the spacing a bit. One probably delayed. That can happen. They do fly relatively quickly behind each other already on the normal schedule. Right, so number one, Iceland Air, Boeing 737 MAX 8 arriving from Reykjavik. And in theory, number three, but it is quite a bit further out to the north, so I'm not sure. I'm having a look. Oh yeah, on the same height as the airplane now vanishing, 7 o'clock from the A330. You can see the second MAX 8 arriving from Reykjavik coming this way, so that is just one airplane separating them on the glide slope. Hey there, Aviation Weekly, good morning. Mark says it looks like the A380 turns Polderbaan. Well, if it was already mentioned on Omgevingsinfo Schiphol, then appearances can and most likely will be deceptive. Looking at flight radar, I can see that the A380 has already turned onto the glide slope of center, in fact. Looking over the camera to see if I can see it visually yet, but not yet. And since there is a Delta A330neo coming in first, let's first focus on that. So this is Delta Airlines flight 164. It is an Airbus A330-900 neo arriving from Minneapolis in Minnesota. Flight time 7 hours 43 minutes. The airplane is a year old. Had its first flight in April 2022. And Jerry goes for the Jägermeister, the glide slope Jaegers. The wind momentarily seems to have subsided a little bit in strength compared with an hour ago or so. Makes for a bit smoother following, luckily. least from this angle so far. That definitely did not disappoint in the audio department, if you ask me. And hey there, Owen. Good afternoon. Right, now, ladies and gentlemen, the last airplane of the day is approaching. It is the Emirates A380. A little bit more over there. There we go. We still have time to have a look at Iceland Air Flight 500, which is a second Boeing 737 MAX 8 arriving from Reykjavik. Here it is, Iceland Air Flight 500, 737 MAX 8, flight time 2 hours 43 minutes, 4-year-old airplane, arriving from Reykjavik, first flight April 2019. There she is, today's Emirates A380 going to center despite being ahead of schedule and landing just a few minutes before 1 o'clock. In the meantime, congratulations Chavs for celebrating 4 months of membership, saying hi from a cold and windy Newcastle. Hi, back to you, and thank you for your ongoing support there, Chavs. Welcome. Unfortunately, on this celebratory day, I'm unable to show you the A380 from more up close than from where I'm standing. I had high hopes, the expected time of arrival being before 1 p.m, but it wasn't soon enough. Today, yet again, the A380 going to runway center. It is in the standard livery, as you guys can see, the old standard livery. In fact, Emirates flight 147, at the moment number 7 worldwide most tracked, on flight radar by 416 people. This flight always takes about 6.5 hours, and today is no exception. Current flight time as we speak 6 hours 25 minutes. The airplane 13 years old. The first flight of this airplane in April 2010. Have a wheeling Embraer. we're missing the second longest wheelie of the show because of the A380. Oh, now I have lost it already. Silly me. Here? Nah, it's already past here. See it over here. Not sure. Right, so this was it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for joining me here once again after a week of rainy weather. I've had a blast and I hope you guys did too. I'm going to wrap it up for today. I think I will be out again on Thursday. Not tomorrow. I'm gonna start doing some other chores around the house on Mondays from now on. Although I will make an exception for when there's a storm expected on Mondays, of course. For now, thank you all so much for joining. If you like what you saw, consider giving a like. If you really like this and want to keep posted of upcoming streams, then subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications. Thanks to everyone for joining me. Thanks first and foremost to the moderators for keeping the chat another friendly day, another friendly place for another day, I should say. I also need some coffee, as you guys can hear. Thanks to everyone who joined me. Thanks to everyone who was so kind to give a like and subscribe and maybe even a contribution in the form of a super chat, a super sticker or a super like. Thank you all so much. Your support means the world to me and I hope that we will see each other again during the upcoming stream. For now, thanks for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Be safe and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye for now.